Hi everyone, we're ready for our word problem of the day. So go ahead and get yourself set up and then we'll get started. So today's word problem is a little different. Let's take a look at what it says. Kira had some crayons in her desk. Her teacher gave her 2 more. She now has 16 crayons. How many did she start with? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do some cubs because we want to point out the important parts of the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the 2 and the 16. Now there's another word in there that it's going to turn into a number, and that's the word sum. So I'm actually going to go ahead and circle the word sum. I don't know what that word is going to turn into, but I know that that's going to be another number. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cross off the C. Now we need to underline the important words. If we look in the question, we should find a word that tells us what it is that we're going to do. How many did she start with? What I'm going to do is I'm going to underline the word start because I want to know she had some crayons to begin with and then her teacher gave her some more, right? She gave her 2 more. They want to know how many does she have now. So I'm going to go ahead and cross off the U. Then we can go ahead and box our question. And now I'm ready to solve it. So let's take a look. So we know that she had some crayons and her teacher gave her 2 more and she's got 16 now. So what do you think we should draw first? Yeah, I would draw the 16, right? We know she has 16. So I'm going to draw it in the 10 frame way and I want you to do the same thing. So we're going to draw 16 as 10, 6. And remember, there can only be 5 on top, 5 on the bottom. The same goes for outside of the 10 frame as well, because I have to put my 6 out here. I'm not going to just draw 6 on the top. I'm going to draw 5 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, I know that her teacher, out of the 16 that she has now, her teacher gave her 2 of those. So if I take out the 2 that her teacher gave her, the rest should be what she started with, right? So I'm going to cross out here because that's the question I always ask you. Is there enough to take away from out here? Today the answer is yes. This is probably one of the first days that the answer is yes. I just need to take 2 away from here. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a box around what I have left out here. So I have 10 inside plus 4 outside. And you all know 10 4 is 14. So we can say that she started with 14. Her teacher gave her 2 more, and that brought her to the 16 she has now. Okay? You with me so far? Now, let's take a look at our number bond. Our number bond, what are we going to be filling in? Well, we know that she started with how many? We don't know. See, that's the trick. We don't know how many she started with, but we know that right now she has 16 crayons. Okay, we're going to label this C for crayons. That's the total she has now. We know that her teacher gave her 2 crayons. So remember, if we go back to our problem, we're looking for how many did she start with. So I'm actually going to label this S for start with. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to punch 2 and count all the way up to 16? No, that'd be kind of crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to punch 16 and count backwards 2, and we should come up with the 14 from up above. 16, 15, 14. We did. So 14 is here, and this is how many she started with, and we're going to put this here. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and do our number sentence. So for our number sentence today, we're going to go right back to the picture. I drew 16 because that's how many she has now. Okay? And I need to take out the number that her teacher gave her. So again, we just do the same thing that we did here. 16 minus 2. We punch 16, count backwards 2. Our answer is still going to be the same, which is 14. But what we did was we matched it to the picture. We drew 16. That was our first number. We crossed off 2, which means we subtracted 2. And what we were left with is the 14. Just like there. And we put a box around it so it reminds us to put it in the box in the middle. And you'll notice that I'm not just putting the 14 in all the boxes right away. I do it as I go along to make sure that my work is correct. And lastly, How many did she start with? We're going to say she started, we have that ed at the end, with 14, again, put a box around it, crayons. And we're going to put the 14 in the middle, cross off the S, and there's your complete answer. So again, it's all a matter of you taking your time to read what the problem is asking you. A lot of times students would just have gone ahead and added the two numbers that were given to them, and then the answer wouldn't have been right. Okay? So you have to make sure that you're reading the problem and finding out what it's asking you. Hold on for part 2. All right, here's part 2. And it's going to be short and sweet, but it's something that I think is important for you to understand. Let's take a look. We have 3 10s and 14 ones. My question to you is, can we have 14 ones? The answer is no. No. What we need to do is we're going to need to separate the 14 into the 10s and 1s. This is where it's important for you to know what a number is made up of. This is why we count 10-1, 10-2, 10-3, and so on, because it allows you to get your brain used to looking at numbers differently. So let's take a look. I know that my 1s column is right here, and I know my 4 are my 1s. So what am I going to do with that 10? I'm going to say, get out of here and get over to the 10s. So what I need to do is I need to move this 1 over to the 10s. So what number am I left with? Well, let's take a look. I'm left with 4 1s because I kicked the 10s out. So I have 4 1s. But how many 10s do I have now? Well, I started with 3 10s, and now I have to add this one more 10 over here. So 3 plus 1 more is 4. So I can say 3 10s and 14 1s is the same as the number 44. I need you to remember something. You can have up to 9 1s in the 1s column. The second you go to 10, you have to do some trading. So you're going to need to remember that when we do our problem for the homework for tonight. So hold on, here we go. Okay, we're ready for our lesson for today. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at 2 problems. We're going to do the way that I taught you yesterday, the good old-fashioned way, the way that we absolutely love to do, and I think your parents love to do it as well. So, hopefully it'll be a quick and easy way for you to do some addition, but also stay organized as you do it. But there's an extra added piece to it today, an extra thought that you're going to have to do. So let's check it out. So I have 28 plus 13. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is rewrite your problem just like you did yesterday. So we're going to write it just like this. Remember, you have to line them up properly, right? And I'm going to draw a line down the middle, and I'm going to draw my box right here. And the reason I do this is because I want to make sure that you're lining up your 10s and your 1s properly. So now the first thing I need to do is start with my 1s. Let's do our little chant. You always start with your 1s. You always start with your 1s. You always start with your 1s. You have to start with your 1s. You have to. So what's 8 plus 3 more? Well, if you don't know, punch it out. 8, 9, 10, 11. So I know 8 plus 3 is 11. Now think about what I told you. How many 1s can I put down here? That's right. I can only put up to 9. I know 11 is more than 9, right? And the number 11 has 2 digits, so that means it has 10s and 1s. So what I need to do is I need to split the answer. So it's 11, and I'm going to write 11 as 1 10, 1 1, right? 1 and 1 is 11. Now, what we need to do is we need to add the 10s. I'm going to make a side caret here to connect these two. What's 1 plus 2? Or I can reverse it, 2 plus 1, 3. Exactly. But don't forget, we have to add it now to the number we didn't use. So 3 plus 1 more is 4. So I know my answer is 41. Okay? Not too bad. I think you got a lot of practice in it yesterday. Here's where it gets tricky. And this is where you need to give it some thought. Now, 25 plus 22. So what I want you to do is rewrite the problem, just like this. So you're going to line them up properly. You're going to make sure you put a line down the middle to make sure they're lined up, and you're going to draw your box. Okay? Now, we always start with the ones, so we're going to go over to the ones. I have 5 plus 2. 5, 6, 7. Huh. 7. Is that more or less than 9? That's right, it's less. So here's my question for you. Do I need that box? The answer is no, because there aren't any 10s. All there are 7 ones. So I'm going to put my 7 here, and I'm going to put an X through this box because I don't need it. But the reason you keep it there is in case you do need it. So now what do? Yes, just add 2 plus 2 and you get 4. So your answer is 47. So basically what you need to do is this. You, number one, need to remember that you can't have more than 9 in your ones column as a total. Then you need to decide, okay, is it more or less than 9? If it's more than 9, you're going to use your box just like we did right here. If it's less than 9, you're going to just write your number here and go ahead and cross off the box and then add the other 2 10s. So you really have to look at your numbers, and you need to be able to punch out the numbers to get your sums, and then if you do that, you should be all set. So you're going to notice that in your green workbooks, the pages are a little mixed up towards the end of the book. So you'll notice that number 28 came before 27, which is a little strange, but that's okay. We can live through that. So what I want you to do is I want you to be working on page 99 and 100 today. So here's 99 and here's 100. So I gave you a little bit of a break yesterday to get you into the flow of it. But now that you see that you can work a little quicker because there's not so many steps, you should be able to do these with no problem. But here's the thing. You're going to need to rewrite your problems, and you're going to notice that there's not a whole lot of room, so you're going to have to write fairly small. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to rewrite your problems, make sure you have a box, and if you need to use it, absolutely use it, just like we did here. If you do not need to use it, make sure you're putting an X through the box. Please, please, please make sure that if you have any problems that your parents reach out to us and have them send in your homework to us so that we could see that you did it properly. And I'll see you tomorrow.